You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So excited you could join me here today for this Friday review. We've got a big show lined up for you today. We've got a lot of talk about the certification, which is launching next week. We have the pros and cons of celery juice. So many people writing in, so many people asking me about this miracle juice that we're calling celery juice right now. What are the pros? What are the cons? Who should be doing it and who should not be doing it? And I'll talk about that today. I'll go through the science and I'll go through potentially what the science is not even covering. So I'm looking forward to that. I also would love to share with you a specific food that's been shown to improve the heart, a delicious food, which I think pretty much everybody should be eating. And then we'll go over our super nutrient of the week, a nutrient so powerful that it has been shown to also be known as the anti-cancer nutrient as well, or hormone. So that'll be exciting to go through that. These are all some of my favorite things to chat about today. Looking forward to today's show as always. And so what I want to do is I want to start with what's been going on this week in the practice and then move right into celery juice, which could probably be its own show by itself. So I just want to focus on one thing today, and that's because this has never happened before. So literally, I mean, this is something I'm going back now 20 years thinking about. 20 years ago, I was sitting in a doctor's office with no hope of getting better, zero hope of getting better because I was told there was no hope of getting better. I was told that my dis-ease of my body and brain as well was something that I was not going to be able to recover from, but I was going to have to learn how to manage. That's what I was told, exact words. Learn how to manage my disease. That's what a lot of us are told today. You need to learn how to manage your type 2 diabetes, learn how to manage your autoimmune-based issues, your skin conditions, your digestive issues. Just learn to live with it is basically what they told me. And being a very stubborn kid, having that pitta-based mindset, and just saying, this is not how I want to live my life. But the problem with that is that I didn't have answers. So all I ended up with was being an angry kid. That's it. I was angry. I was upset. I felt like a victim, and I was essentially. I really was. Like, no one was helping me. I was trying to get help, and the answers were not there. And so, essentially, in a moment of desperation, like a lot of us do, I made a promise. I made a promise to maybe a higher being or something out there, right? Some people say it's the universe. Some people say God. That's, to me, you choose your spirituality in your way, and I respect that. I actually think that it's a great thing that we can hopefully respect other people's beliefs as well. But my thing was this. I said this. I made the promise, and I said, if I ever get well, I will teach how I did that to the world. And that's what I said. I said, if I ever get well, if you can help me get well, if I find my answers, I will share those answers with the world. And I started to do that, right? So years went by still. I didn't get well. So even after I made that promise, because I can see it today, I can still see it today. I'm in the waiting room. There's an empty chair facing across from me. And I'm looking at that chair. In just a moment of desperation, I say, if I ever get well, I basically just said it very lowly under my breath, not even really believing it, but just a hope, right? It was a hope. It was a prayer that I might get well. That was it. And I didn't get well. Well, flash forward basically in another year or 2 more years. Then I find a doctor that's practicing functional medicine. And in the late 90s, finding a doctor that practices functional medicine was a rare thing. But somehow, some way, I was able to make my way to that doctor. I started running functional medicine lab tests. I started finding the underlying root cause conditions of why I was so imbalanced. I began to repair those imbalances. Then I finally, my mentor, and I was already on my way, she helped me blend together functional medicine, orthomolecular medicine, genetic medicine, and Ayurvedic medicine. I went back, I got my degree, went overseas, I studied. I brought all of this together into a non-ego-based form of medicine, the first truly integrative form of medicine that I believe. is out there that combines traditional Chinese medicine, bioregulatory medicine, orthomolecular medicine, functional medicine, Ayurvedic, if I didn't mention that, traditional naturopathy, and Eastern-based philosophy, which is what's going to help you also repair your mind. Because I tell people all the time, it's not enough to repair your body. You must repair your mind so that you never relapse back there. Too many of us forget that our brain, our mind, our thoughts actually send signals down the spinal cord. This is real physiology. And after they're sent down that spinal cord, they innervate all of the different organs and systems and muscles and all your entire nervous system for what runs your body. And if those thoughts are not correct, you're going to end up one day then sick, right? You're going to end up run down. You're going to end up with that autoimmune-based issue because your mind does affect your body. Your psychology absolutely does affect your physiology in both positive and negative ways. Now, it can absolutely help you get better much, much faster. And I spoke about that in the rain barrel effect, right? 2 of my de-stress protocol, right? So I have this de-stress protocol. And 2 parts of that is about emotional balance and it's about success mindset. Because what I realized with the way that I finally, right, I moved over that last edge was I had to rewire my programming. So what I've done in our integrative health practitioner certification and coursework for those people that don't want to become a certified practitioner, or if you're already a practitioner, you want to take it to that next level. Well, if you don't want to be, and essentially a practitioner that we're talking about is a health coach. You're not licensed. You're not giving medical advice. What you're helping people to do is heal. That's what we want. We're not treating disease. We're not diagnosing disease. And we're not curing disease. Because in our philosophy, disease is a set of symptoms based on underlying root causes and underlying imbalances, just like that happened to me and just like that happened to hundreds of thousands of people that I've been able to speak with and work with in my practice. Over 250,000 people we've seen. And I can tell you, we know how to help people get well. We know how to help them lose weight. And we know how to help them live longer. So what I'd like to do next week is be able to teach you. I want to be able to teach you if you're a practitioner, a nurse, a doctor, a chiropractor, acupuncturist, a personal trainer, yoga instructor, massage therapist, Pilates, dance, anything within the health realm where you're also going to be influencing the way that someone lives a healthier life. Then I'm going to take people that are maybe they're in finance right now or they're a mom that wants to switch to a new career. A lot of moms that I'm working with right now, and they want to get into health coaching. Well, that's great. We're going to teach you how to be a health coach. We're going to teach you how to be an integrative health practitioner. That means you're going to take all 7 branches that I talk about, that I explain inside the integrative health practitioner, and I'm going to teach you then how to help people, right? So level 1 is going to be going deep into the the de-stress protocol that I spoke about in the rain barrel effect. Instead of 100 pages, it's going to be literally now 30 plus hours and growing because I'm going to keep giving you information, right? And then for those people, though, who just want to heal themselves, work on themselves, well, there's an educational component where you're not certified. You don't become a health coach, but you can still get the education because this is all about education, right? I want you to be able to share it with others in any way that you choose, whether it's with your family, your community, that's fine, right? So I'm so excited about this. I'm finally fulfilling that promise. I feel like I've been fulfilling it with helping people in my practice, right? I feel like I've been doing that for the past now almost 18 years or 18 years or so. I feel like I've been doing that, but I want to now take it to that next level because we've met our capacity. We can't see any more people in our practice. I'm literally, well, I mean, we can, right? But I have a 2-month waiting list. And so what I want to be able to do is teach thousands of practitioners, put your name on our website, and allow then you to get referrals as well. So we'll have a level 1 and we'll have a level 2 for right now. Level 1 is the understanding the diet, exercise, resetting the nervous system essentially with the stress, the toxin removal, talking about the parasympathetic and sleep and all of those things. We're going to be talking about emotional balance. We're going to be talking about supplement protocols and success mindset. We're going to teach you all of those things so that you can help people at a foundational health-based level, the things that they don't teach you even in medical school or naturopathic medical school, okay? And then in level 2, if you decide to do level 2, which I hope that you do, that will be actually understanding, learning the labs, and then you'll be able to actually run labs with your own private wellness clients or weight loss clients. And you'll be able to do that right through Equilibrium Nutrition. I will be the naturopathic doctor signing off on your labs, and then you'll be able to then run those from a health education-based standpoint. So I've literally never been this excited. I've been excited in a long time. It's been a long time since I've launched anything that I've been this excited about. So I do hope you come with me on the journey. We're allowing 100 people in, 100 founding members. We're calling them founding members because they're actually going to be our first group ever of integrative health practitioners. So they'll always hold a special place in my heart for, putting their trust in me, putting their trust in my team. It's going to be amazing. I mean, you should see the curriculum. It's presented all in slide format, but also with video embedded in the slides. So it's not just a boring slideshow. And because I don't want it to be that, I want it to be interactive. We're going to have a private Facebook group where you can ask questions. You can ask client-based questions. So super excited about this. Really, I am. And for those first 100 people, they're literally going to get it at half price because I want to thank them for understanding that this is the first group and that we're going to work on this together and it's going to grow and they're going to see it grow into something that I believe is going to be live events all over the world with me teaching other practitioners, me going to Australia, me going to Europe. There's already plans for actually me going to an event potentially next year in Europe as well to teach there. So this is going to grow. This is just the first year. I mean, the first literally opening, and I couldn't be more excited. So thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you for basically telling me 18 months ago to create this. I mean, honestly, the questions every single week. Can I learn this? How can I learn this? And I don't have a good example because there's no one school that teaches this. There's no one certification that teaches this until now. And the reason is that everyone has a dogma about what has to be best. TCM, herbalism, Ayurveda, orthomolecular. The problem is they're all great. They're all great, but they can't help everyone all the time. But what can help everyone all the time is when you integrate all of them together. And that's what we're going to teach you. So could be more excited. I could talk about this for hours, and I will inside of the certification. So just stay tuned for your email on the podcast, on Instagram, and you'll be able to see the launch. Those people that are on the email list will get a 24-hour head start notice, and we'll link that up at today's show notes. So just simply go to today's show notes for details on that link, and that is episode 966. So go to stephencabral.com/966 if you'd like to get the early bird notification one day before everyone else, and that will allow you hopefully to get right within that first 100 people. All right, let's move on to a super popular topic right now called celery juice, right? Celery juice, the miracle juice. And I always love to give credit where credit's due. So just like in the integrative health practitioner, I tell people all the time, like, here's the deal. You're so against veganism, or you're so against the carnivore diet, or you're so against keto, you're so against whatever because of a specific dogma that you have. You must destroy your dogmas. You must destroy everything that you hold to be a part of you, your thought process, and philosophy. And now, it doesn't mean you can't have a foundation. You should have a foundation. But keep yourself open to why some people may be benefiting from something. Okay, just keep yourself open to it. I'm not going to recommend a carnivore diet for anyone. But I understand why some people are getting benefit. They're getting benefit simply because they have candida overgrowth, they have SIBO, they have something going on inside of their gut, which does not allow them to eat vegetables, because when they eat vegetables, they get what? Bloating, gas, all sorts of digestive distress. And then that causes inflammation, which can then cause autoimmune-based issues, right? Because they have some type of gut permeability, etc. So they went to all meat because there's nothing there's no prebiotic fibers. There's no fiber that you're going to get really from meat. Like, that's not going to happen. So what happens is there's not as much fermentable. There's no fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharides, right? There's none of those sugars within meat, although there are certain sugars in meat, believe it or not, but they're not going to be fermentable. So if they're not fermentable, that means you're not going to get the gastric distress typically to the same level. Now, it could cause constipation, other things. It could cause putrefaction and other types of gas in the stomach, but different from the vegetables. So I would say, okay, I get it. They're staying away from that, but now I know they're staying away from that because they can't digest the vegetables, the prebiotic fibers. And then some people go vegan for beyond spiritual-based reasons because they can't digest meat. Okay, well, if you can't digest meat, that's not necessarily the reason to go vegan. That means you just can't digest meat. That means that you may most likely have either H. pylori, or you have weak stomach acid, or you have something that's not allowing you to have very good digestive strength, okay? You go vegan, not necessarily just for pure health reasons, because I think that is actually debatable, because some people actually do much, much better with some oily fish, some wild salmon, or some sardines, or things like that. And again, I have all the labs to essentially back up what I'm saying. I think you can be healthy being vegan. There's no doubt about that. And if you know the how I eat, it's essentially 90+% vegan, right? But I'm not going to deny my body essentially certain things. Now, you might say, okay, well, that's not right because you don't believe in the killing of animals or those types of things, and I can agree with you, and I can absolutely support you on that. I can support you on that. And I've gone, now again, vegan is different. It's an entire lifestyle, so I don't want to degrade that philosophy because I'm actually a supporter of it. I do believe in it. I know that there's contradictions there, but I don't want to turn this into a vegan-based debate. What I want to let you know is I understand why some people do it for digestive-based reasons. I understand 100% of the time when you do it for spirituality-based reasons, and that's the way that you choose to live your life. And I think that's a beautiful thing, so I support that. Okay, but what I'm saying right now is that we all have these different dogmas. Now, some people are big believers in something like celery juice, and here's what I want to do is I want to go through the benefits that you can get from celery juice and potentially some of the cons as well, some of the downsides from it. Okay, so I want to give credit where credit's due, and that little rant, that little tangent actually came from because a lot of people are not a supporter of Anthony Williams. And I like to give credit where credit's due. Anthony Williams, also known as the medical medium. Well, here's what you want to understand, is that the medical medium and his system of knowledge comes from what he says, the spirit. And I don't disagree with that. And he says that's where his knowledge comes from. But I also believe that Anthony is a very well-read individual. He's extremely smart. People ask me all the time, what do you think of Anthony Williams? Well, I always say he's brilliant. He's a very brilliant man. Very, very, extremely smart. And again, whether some of it is from reading, some of it is from intuition and from the spirit, that's for him. Like, either way, I'm good because he has a very strong knowledge base. Very strong knowledge base. What I always look at is I say, okay, I understand if someone's giving their philosophy, but is it also backed up by what we have right now in science? And a lot of it is. Now, some of the things are not. So Anthony Williams says that there's 7 types of essentially stomach acid, and we essentially know of hydrochloric acid. And I'm not saying that he's wrong on that, okay? And then there's all different types of mineral salts in celery, and we don't know all of them, right? But there very well may be because we don't know necessarily all of the different plant-based enzymes and nutrients, phytochemicals and phytonutrients in celery. So I can't deny that either. What I don't want to do is just consider celery juice a panacea that will, like, let's say you have thyroid-based cancer, you have Hashimoto's, you have something else. Don't let it be the only thing that you do. That's my only drawback. That's it. Again, and this is no disrespect to Anthony Williams, because again, I love that he's preaching this, and I love that he's preaching fruits and vegetables, because it's getting people now to eat more fruit and vegetables. It's crazy to think that people see fruit and vegetables as harmful. I mean, it literally is insane. Now, some people with candida overgrowth and SIBO, they do better with a certain list of fruits and vegetables, which we give them in the beginning, and then after a period of 4 to 8 weeks, we begin introducing the other, not as fermentable fruits and vegetables once we've rebalanced the microbiome. Because again, it's better to use natural herbs and biofilm disruptors to begin to remove the candida, which, by the way, they've done since Ayurvedic times, from the beginning. They use what? Plants, herbs, right? So we'll use oregano, we'll use caprylic acid, but we do it in a very specific way, a very, very specific way, in order to remove the bacterial overgrowth, the dysbiosis, the candida, and then start to repopulate naturally. And then that's when we add in more of the prebiotic-based vegetables, right? We actually wouldn't do as much celery in the beginning, but celery juice is okay because you're not getting the prebiotic fiber. So very, very helpful. And so, again, anything I say is not in disrespect to Anthony Williams today. It's simply going by what myself and my science-based brain wants to bring you, in addition to what he's speaking about. But I also, please don't use celery juice as the only way that you go about healing. Use it as an adjunct to everything else that you're doing from a natural-based perspective, right? So do a candida and bacterial overgrowth-based protocol, like the one that we recommend that literally works for thousands and thousands of people that we've used it with. I mean, thousands and thousands. It's literally been custom tailored over the past decade to be exactly what people need. But now you can add celery juice to that. So use it as an adjunct to that in the morning. Let's talk about it though, okay? So right now, we're going to go over what we know that science has shown about celery juice. Now, again, I'm also a proponent of understanding that science has not proven everything yet, like not even close, right? Not even close. It didn't know about all the benefits of these Ayurvedic-based therapies until even the last 2 decades. That's it. But it's been around for 6,000 years, and now we're starting to prove it. Why? Well, there's no money in proving these things, right? There's no money in showing that Panchakarma releases all these heavy metals from the body, that sauna works so well. These are new things, okay? So I'm in agreement with that. But here's what celery has. Well, It's basically 90% water. Now, that's not the only reason that it heals, but if you're juicing celery in the morning, guess what you're doing? You're getting more hydration into your body, which is amazing for the body. It literally, your cells need water. 2/3 of your body is water. You need hydration. Most people just go straight to coffee. Well, maybe you're doing celery juice now instead of all that caffeine. Well, all that water is going to help flush the liver. It's going to bring it to all the cells in your body, your muscles. It's going to move the lymphatic system. So that's a great thing. There's a small amount of nitrogen, small amount of lipids, very, very small amount. Here's what we want to get to. So it's higher in vitamin A, some of the B vitamins, vitamin C, higher in magnesium. This is important because I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Manganese, iron, iodine, copper, potassium, choline, apigenin. I always pronounce that incorrectly, but that's a major one. I want to go back to that in just a moment. Tyrosine, and it can have some breakdown into glutamic acid, which is one of the reasons why I do recommend you start very slowly with celery juice. Maybe 2 ounces to 4 ounces for the first week or so. A small amount, about a shot of it. And the reason is, especially with children, some people right now have genetic methylation and certain other issues, which can allow for too much buildup of glutamic acid from glutamate basically in the body. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be overcome. It can, but there can be really a lot of, almost like a Herxheimer-based reaction, although it's not a Herxheimer-based reaction, with brain fog and neurological-based issues. So just start slower if you are and see your threshold in the beginning. Now, that might change in a couple weeks as well. Here's what we do know, though, that celery juice can help to lower blood pressure. And that's that apigenin, that is a natural occurring plant chemical compound that we didn't even know about before a couple decades ago as well, that helps to reduce blood pressure. Another helpful chemical, so literally I just want to tell you that if you have high blood pressure, celery juice is one of the best things that you can do. That is absolutely true. And one of the other plant chemical compounds that we're talking about as well is the magnesium and the cell salts, basically the mineral salts from celery. Your body, in order to balance your blood pressure. Now, blood pressure, I've talked about this before on a previous podcast. You can simply go to stephencabral.com/podcast for all the previous podcasts. And for high blood pressure, we know that can be caused by multiple reasons. Higher levels of cortisol, so more of the arterial-based constriction. It can be an imbalance between sodium and potassium. It can be a lack of magnesium. Well, celery is essentially higher in cell salts or mineral salts, which is going to help with the sodium part of it. It's also one of the reasons why I do recommend you can squeeze a little bit of lemon into your celery juice to give you a greater balance of potassium to sodium. Or you could do lemon juice when you first wake up in the morning to get your potassium, and then you could juice your celery maybe 20 minutes or so later. So that would be great as well, and you get a nice balance between the two. But magnesium is known as a relaxant. It relaxes the arteries. It allows them to dilate properly, which then enables the blood pressure to actually decrease. So really, really powerful, absolutely amazing. A couple other things that I would like to mention science-wise, and then I'm going to mention some of the things that Anthony Williams mentions as well. And that's science-wise, it's been shown to reduce the lipid levels in the blood. That means by actually decreasing fats in the blood. It's helped with inflammation in the lungs, asthma, bronchitis. It helps absolutely filter, clean the kidneys. Helps strengthen the bones simply because you're getting more calcium and magnesium, which are both great for bone formation, which is really, really helpful and good for as an anti-inflammatory. So it contains something called polyacetylene, and that is an actual, again, plant compound. So that's why we need to eat our fruits and vegetables, right? That's a natural anti-inflammatory that reduces swelling and pain around the joints. So good for people with rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis. Helps with constipation because it helps to get those bowels moving. Helps with a little bit of liver cleansing as well. Not necessarily detoxification, but it does help with dilation of the bile ducts, which means it can be good for gallstones as well. Aiding in, I would say, overall in fatigue, chronic fatigue, because one of the hallmarks of fatigue typically is lower levels of blood pressure and potentially sodium-based issues. Now, I just said it helps to lower blood pressure when you have high blood pressure, and that's true. But by adding in natural sodium, it helps to level back out the body. You have to understand is that healthy foods don't really throw you in one direction too far. They're actually regulators. They're almost like adaptogens that we've heard about herbs, right? So with ashwagandha and rhodiola, if you start to get too high in stress, it will bring you down. But also, if you start to get too low in energy, it will help raise you back up. That's the beauty of the plant kingdom, and that's why, essentially, whatever you believe in diet-wise, just understand that at least 2/3 of your diet should be plant-based. That's it. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I like closer to 80%. You can't go wrong with that really either. And then you get to decide, okay, here's the fats, here's the proteins, whatever you choose, vegan, vegetarian, fish, meat, however you want to do it. That's up to you. But let's get healthy by eating more fruits and vegetables. Okay. Other things that Anthony Williams says builds up stomach acid. I completely see how he says that and can agree with it. And the reason is that it is providing you, no matter what, we don't know if there's 7 acids of the stomach or not, which Anthony Williams says, maybe there is. I don't disagree with that. Maybe there is. But what I can tell you is that, without a doubt, the sodium, the salt, the chloride that you're going to get from celery is going to help build back up stomach acid because it's one constituent of hydrochloric acid, hydrochloride. You're going to get more of the chloride, right? Not the hydrogen, but you'll get the chloride. So that's a great thing, okay? Now, for people with high stomach acid, you might be said, oh, I don't want to do that because I'm worried about that. Well, there's actually some new great research showing that, and I've worked with a lot of people in my practice, that higher levels of stomach acid may be due to bacteria in the stomach. And I completely agree with that. Might be fungus, might be bacterial overgrowth, might be H. pylori. Well, we're seeing that by raising true levels of stomach acid, so good levels of stomach acid, or taking in more of the celery juice, we're able to kill a lot of that bacteria in the gut as well. And so if you look at that part of it, you can say, okay, well, now that I know, and I'll give you the study as well, that celery juice can aid in killing some of the bacteria, that this may actually help then to kill other types of bacteria in the body. So again, Anthony Williams is telling that, okay, well, it's going to kill viruses and bacteria. That very well may be true because we're starting to see some science on that. And one of those specific studies, and I'll link it up if you'd like, just go to stephencabral.com/966. I do hope that that's today's episode, today's show. I'll put in the link from PubMed. I'll put a couple links in there as well. And here is the link. It is, or the name of the study, just in case you do get lost on your way over there. It's called Gastric Anti-Ulcer, Anti-Secretory, and Cytoprotective Properties of Celery. Kind of a mouthful, right? And now, again, yes, these are lab rat-based studies, but again, we can use the information. We can say, okay, how did this happen? Well, there's actually, again, another plant-based chemical similar to ethanol. And ethanol has been shown to decrease or actually remove a lot of the bacteria in the stomach, potentially leading to ulcers or larger promotion of acid, which we know if there's a larger promotion of acid, then there's going to actually be an eating away of the mucosal line of the stomach, which then leads to ulcers. So you can see how we can work our way backwards on that. Another one that I would love to give you is that there is actually some great research right now. I believe this is out of Singapore, and I will link this up as well, under PubMed, which is called The Mechanism Underlying the Hypercholesterolemic Activity of Aqueous Celery Extract. It's butanol and aqueous fractions in genetically hypercholesterolemic Rico rats. Okay, what does all that mean? Well, it means that by taking in more celery, and that includes the celery juice itself, there was heart protective properties. So they're able to reduce actually liver-based issues as well as higher cholesterol-based issues in humans. So I could go on and on about celery juice. I want to let you know that there's just a couple of cons to watch out for. Again, start slow, especially if you're giving it to children. And what I want you to do is understand that if you have a birch allergy or a mugwort allergy, that there's a possibility for anaphylaxis or for a reaction. But it's only what seems to be with people with a sensitivity to nitrates. We'll get to that in just one second. But also birch allergies, and mugwort. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you have a birch allergy, then you would start really, really slow, or you might not want to do celery juicing. Okay, the other thing is this. You do not want to store celery in your refrigerator for really more than a week. I can't remember the compound off the top of my head, but you're able to look this up for yourself. That's the beauty of the internet. Okay, if you store celery juice for more than 2 weeks, I'd just say just no more than a week, and ideally fresh juice, you get all the living enzymes, but not more than a week. There is a compound that starts to grow. At least I believe this. Again, I'm looking at it. I can see it because that's how my brain works on the screen. 25% growth in a compound that could potentially lead to cancer. So we just don't want to store celery juice for 2 weeks. That's it. And I know most people aren't going to do that anyways. All right. The other thing is that it's very high in pesticides. Very high in pesticides, which means that when you're getting celery, please get organic. You cannot wash all the pesticides off celery. So please look for organic celery. Very, very important. Okay. I already talked about the easing in. I talked about the pesticides. I talked about the birch, the mugwort. I talked about the storing of it. Insoluble fiber. Celery is very high in soluble fiber. Okay, this is a great thing once you've gotten your gut balance, right? Once you've removed the candida, once you've removed the SIBO. Again, do something like the candida bacterial overgrowth protocol, which is completely natural, helps rebuild the body, allows for improved digestion. You can do celery juice, but just be careful with eating the whole celery and too much of it if you already have candida or bacterial overgrowth, which is a great prebiotic that feeds both the negative bacteria as well as the positive-based bacteria, and it leads to those IBS symptoms, which, of course, that you don't want. So those are the main ones. The last one is that celery contains a natural sodium nitrate, ATE, not ITE. Okay, but sodium nitrate will convert to sodium nitrite in the body. Why does this matter? Well, we know that a larger amount, or at least synthetic nitrates, can lead to cancer. However, we are not seeing that with natural plant-based foods. So I have no problem with this, but those people, though, that are much more sensitive to nitrates or nitrites will, again, want to ease into it, right? Maybe a shot of it at a time, 2 ounces to start, and then work your way up. So that is my full take on celery juice. I am completely for it. I have nothing against it. People saying that it's completely, that it will alkalize your body. Again, let's go back to and understand the science. Sodium, salts, magnesium, the great amount of electrolytes in celery juice will allow you to have a higher alkaline-based fluid. My job is to bridge the gap between state-of-the-art science and all of the Eastern-based and food-based philosophies. Okay, understand this. It doesn't change the level of the pH in the blood because the blood will always maintain a 7.356, essentially pH. So it can go about 7.5 and down to 7.2, but it can't go beyond that. But what it does is it allows you to get the mineral salts in order to be able to buffer the acids from all the metabolic breakdown, all the hormonal breakdown, all the food-based breakdown, all the stress, the cortisol, all the thing that creates acids in the body. So when you're getting more alkaline-based minerals, it helps to buffer that so you don't need to draw it from your bones, right? Because your body's going to do it no matter what, but at the detriment of your own body. Again, I could talk about this all day. So I'm a proponent of it. I love all the work being done by people in natural health field. I support it. I want to always bring you both sides. I want to be the unbiased. I want to be the truth behind this. And so I am an advocate. I can recommend it. And just don't let it be the panacea of the only thing you do. Because if you have a serious base dis-ease of the body, I want to see you get help from all different methodologies. And because I want to see you get well and live the best life that you can. All right, we're going to move past the heart-based nutrient. I'll bring you that next week. I'm going to get right into our super nutrient of the week because I'm already over my time. Okay, so now let's move on to the super nutrient of the week, which this week is melatonin. Melatonin is literally one of the most powerful hormones that has been overlooked in natural health. Now, a lot of us have heard about melatonin before, and I've heard about it many, many years ago when I was a complete insomniac, that it can help you get into a deeper sleep. And the way that it helps you get into a deeper sleep is it actually works on two protein receptors called MT1 and MT2. MT2 being able to get you into that deeper sleep, which is the most restorative thing that you can do for your body, is to get in that deep sleep. Not the light sleep, but deep sleep. And the lighter sleep preceding the deep sleep is just an MT1 protein receptor, okay? So melatonin is sometimes, again, the thing lacking. Now, there can be other things as well. We'll talk about those. Lacking in order to get you into that deep quality of sleep, in order to get you into what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, where our cortisol levels are lower and you're able to begin to truly repair the body. So I could go on and on about melatonin, but what I need you to understand is that there are certain types to take. Sometimes it leaves people groggy, so I'm going to give you which ones to use at the end, but I want to let you know that melatonin is not just about sleep. That's where it's being overlooked. Right now, we are using it in my practice for blood sugar dysregularity, cardiovascular issues and inflammation issues, estrogen dominance, infertility, vision, and anti-aging. So it can improve all of those things and more, as well. I didn't even mention blood pressure, by using melatonin. Now, my goal as a natural health, as an integrative health practitioner, is to reduce the need for supplemental melatonin and help you to produce more of your own. Well, why would people have a lack of melatonin? Well, the greatest lack or the greatest cause of low melatonin is due to blue light at night or increased stress, especially in the evening. So what would that mean? Well, looking at your phone, if it's not, blue light corrected, you can wear certainly blue light blocking glasses. That's going to help reducing stress, reducing TV time or electronic time an hour before bed, allowing yourself to maybe do an Epsom salt soak before bed, stretching a half hour before bed, reading in bed an actual book, not necessarily on your iPad or Kindle or any type of other device like that, and just getting into that deep parasympathetic nervous system where cortisol begins to decrease. Well, I'm going to give you so many reasons why melatonin is so powerful, but basically look at it like this. The antagonist to cortisol is melatonin. And in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, I spoke about this. Everything has a partner. The partner to calcium is magnesium. The partner to sodium is potassium. The partner to copper is zinc. Well, the partner, the antagonist, the Tao, the balancer to cortisol is melatonin. You certainly don't want too much melatonin, especially if it's not decreased in the morning when you wake up, because you'll be groggy, right? You'll be groggy, and that's why if we wake up to an alarm clock, well, and it's something like the wake light that I've spoken about before, the wake light alarm clock, you're going to end up sometimes groggier because your melatonin didn't start to decrease and your cortisol was not starting to rise naturally. And that's why I talk so much about getting into a sleep cycle. Well, actually using melatonin can then start to decrease cortisol. So in our practice, as we're helping people to rebalance what's called their diurnal rhythm, higher cortisol in the morning for energy and lack of grogginess and lack of brain fog, more energy, and then lower levels of cortisol at night, decreasing work, decreasing stress around the 6 o'clock hour or so, in that kapha time of the day, right? And allowing yourself to unwind allows then, as long as there's not a lot of blue light, melatonin to increase naturally and cortisol decrease. Well, in the beginning, oftentimes we're using a form of liquid melatonin, which does not make you groggy because it's in and out of the system faster and enables you to shut down cortisol and get into that deeper level of sleep. We're doing that typically in conjunction with magnesium, part of our deep sleep protocol, and a product called Adrenal Soothe. We're doing 2 of those at dinner. We're doing that to shut down cortisol. If we shut down cortisol, not completely eliminate it, but shut it down to a normal level with things such as phosphatidylserine and ashwagandha, well, then we are able to then allow melatonin to thrive naturally. And I'll tell you how we wean off of those at the end. Well, here's the deal, though. Melatonin has literally been shown to be responsible for repairing the circadian rhythm, which means helping you fall asleep at a normal time at night. And it's a powerful antioxidant. So besides being that thing that the pineal gland secretes, well, it's a powerful antioxidant. And as an antioxidant, it has actually been shown to squelch free radical activity. And that goes for ROSs, reactive oxygen species. And it's been shown that even just 1 molecule of melatonin can squelch 10 free radicals of reactive oxygen species. Pretty powerful in itself, which makes it, of course, excellent for any type of cellular damage, vascular damage, any type of vision-based issues. Fantastic for that. Cardiovascular-based health. Also been shown to work incredibly well with balance the immune system with rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, lupus, any type of IBS. So it works great. We use it a lot of times in people with IBS. We use it with acid reflux because we've seen, again, it's work with acid reflux. Now, maybe there's a bacterial component. Maybe there's a free radical component. But also, those people with larger amounts of IBS and oftentimes acid reflux have higher levels of stress and cortisol. Well, at least in the evening, if we're using melatonin, we are shutting down those high levels of cortisol. Works fantastic. Another thing that we like it for as well is mood-based, okay? So if people have lower levels of serotonin, well, tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin. Now we ramp up the B vitamins. We use something like an activated B complex or just the daily nutritional support. It's going to then be a precursor to serotonin. And then serotonin is a precursor to melatonin. So again, if you're in lower mood, you might not even be producing enough melatonin. We can give you the melatonin. We can keep more of the serotonin. We can use the B vitamins in order to rebalance the body. I hope that you're starting to see, just like I was talking about with celery juice, is that it's never just one thing. Is what we're looking to do is correct the body on multiple levels. We do it through supplements at the beginning, and then we do it through food-based towards the end as the body is rebalancing itself. Remember, just like celery juice is going to help with your digestive system to get it stronger, in the beginning, you can use supplements at the beginning, your digestive system and everything is going to get stronger, and then your absorption is going to improve, which means in the end, then you'll need what? You'll need less of the supplements because you're extracting more from food itself. And then, of course, I do recommend something like the Dr. Bell Daily Protocol, or your just kind of like your safety net to make sure that you are getting everything, even if you're eating organic food. Oftentimes, there's not enough of the vitamins and minerals and everything that you need to have a nice, healthy, strong body. So we talked about the mood, we talked about the anxiety, we talked about some of the bipolar-based issues or seasonal affective issues, helping with Alzheimer's and with Parkinson's. Again, a lack, if we can decrease that cortisol, we can help both of those things. Traumatic brain injury. I get a lot of questions on traumatic brain injury. We've seen help with that with melatonin. All of these things can be easily Googled. I only have so much time on the show to go through them. Glaucoma, vision-based issues, very, very huge. Tinnitus, another possibility as well. Again, stress can affect tinnitus. If we have good amounts of B vitamins, if we have lower amounts of inflammation, and if we use melatonin, we may be able to decrease some of that cortisol as well. What I'd like to talk about, though, is what's overlooked, and that's melatonin in the role of treating cancer and working on cancer-based issues. Now, remember, on the Cabral concept, we're not diagnosing, we're not treating, or we're not trying to cure disease. What we're looking at is the underlying mechanisms within your body so that if you are able to rebalance the body, you give it back all the nutrients that it needs, and you remove the toxicities, the body can heal itself. Any type of true practitioner understands that they are not doing the healing. They are putting the body in position to heal. Well, here's what melatonin does. Melatonin actually blocks certain estrogen receptors. So it's also why we use melatonin with estrogen dominance in my practice. Again, we're only using it for 4 to 8 weeks, but we're using it in order to help the body, to give it a little push, to give it a little help, that's all, in order to help it rebalance itself. So melatonin can actually help with estrogen dominance. We know that higher levels of estrogen can cause cancer to grow, okay? What we also know is that a lower levels of melatonin allows for higher levels of regulatory T cells. We know that in cancer, at least, there are higher levels of regulatory T cells. Now, that might sound like a good thing. Okay, well, great. But here's what happens, is that if your body has higher regulatory T cells, it allows cancer to then thrive because higher regulatory T cells stops a lot of the other types of immune cells, such as natural killer cells, from being boosted. So what we actually want to do is balance out regulatory T cells and actually give a boost to natural killer cells, which will then kill cancer cells. Pretty amazing, right? So we're not killing the cancer. What we're doing is helping to balance the immune system with regulated levels of cortisol and melatonin, which then allows the immune system to kill the cancer, right? So that is the goal. That's what we're looking for. And again, if you have cancer, autoimmune, fatigue, blood sugar dysregularity, any one of these things, what we want to do is we want to correct the body at an underlying root cause level. So here's exactly what we do. We do something like the deep sleep protocol, or we at least use the liquid melatonin. I will link everything up today at stephencabral.com/966. That is hopefully today's podcast. Why don't I confirm that? I'm going to confirm that before we do get off the podcast today. And what I want to do is let you know exactly how we use melatonin, all right? So what we're doing is we're typically using Adrenal Soothe. We're using 2 of those capsules with dinner. And then we are using melatonin 30 minutes before bed, and we're putting 1 full dropper of the liquid melatonin that I'm going to link up right under the tongue. We're holding it for 2 minutes, up to 5 minutes. And we're just allowing it to get absorbed right through those capillaries under the tongue. So it goes right into your bloodstream. There's less of it then that has to be processed by the liver, which means you get more of it. Not only that, you get more of it faster. So that's going to allow the melatonin to kick in faster, allow you to get into a nice, deep, restorative sleep. Okay, we do that for anywhere between 3 and 6 weeks or 4 to 8 weeks maximum. After that, we keep the Adrenal Soothe going, but then we taper the melatonin. We go to a half a dropper. Now, sometimes people need 2 droppers, okay? They need 1 to 2 droppers because it's only about 2.5 milligrams for a dropper. So we're talking about relatively low doses of melatonin. I'm not talking about 20 milligrams. I mean, some people are using 20 milligrams. Now, if you had cancer, might you look at that if you're working with a doctor or health practitioner? Maybe, but I'm talking about general population in order to improve mood, digestion, antioxidant capacity, estrogen dominance, etc. So we'll use between 2.5 and 5 milligrams, okay? After that, we're going to half the dosage in about a month, okay? Whatever it is. 1 dropper will go to half a dropper, 2 droppers will go to a full dropper. And then After about 2 more weeks, we'll go to a fourth of the dosage, the total dosage, and then we'll essentially come off melatonin. Then we'll use it as needed. When do I use it? Well, I use it anytime my mind is racing at night. If I'm amped up, I have a ton of supplements in my house, and I use them as needed. You know why? Because they're supplements, right? They're supplementing my lifestyle. If I'm amped up, if I can't turn that mind off, I've got my CBD, I've got my melatonin, I've got my magnesium, I've got my adrenal soothe. I'm ready to go. Because why? Because I want to get a good night's sleep. Because if I don't get a good night's sleep, it's going to leave my immune system compromised. I'm not going to be at my best. I might have brain fog, and I can't be at my best for everyone in my practice. And that's my goal, right? And I can't be at the best for my family when I get home at night because I might be exhausted. I might have less patience with my kids. So that's what it's there for, right? Okay, then I'm using it also for travel. I fly back and forth to the West Coast, to the East Coast, and I need to reset that circadian rhythm, right? So if I'm on the West Coast, and it's still basically like, let's say I'm on the West Coast, and I get there, and it's 8 o'clock, and I want to go to bed. Well, you say 8 o'clock, well, the light might still be out, right? Well, true, but it's 11 p.m. East Coast time, and I want to try to stay on schedule because I'm still working with my East Coast team, and I like to stay pretty much on schedule. The latest I'll go to bed on the West Coast is 9 p.m. That's midnight my time. The reason is that if I get back to my time, which I'm going to, like I just traveled this week on Tuesday, and I was right to work the next day, right? But if I'm waking up, let's say, on East Coast time, and I'm waking up at 5:30 a.m., that's 2:30 a.m. West Coast time. So I have to make sure that I find the happy medium and that I don't get too far off, okay? So that's what I'm doing. It works great for resetting the diurnal rhythm. I've spoken about that before. Simply go to stephencabral.com/podcast, type in jet lag, and you'll see exactly how to fix jet lag or time zone travel. I've become an expert in that because I've had to. I travel back and forth a couple times a month to different time zones. Just this month, I'm in California, Arizona, Texas, and Florida, right? So I've got a lot of travel, and I need to make sure I deal with all of those time zones. So that's exactly how we do it. If you want to know if your melatonin levels are correct or not, I will link up the sleep and stress test. It will test your melatonin. It will test your cortisol and cortisone very simply by urine. Now, you know my favorite way to test cortisol and estrogen dominance is saliva-based, and it can also do the thyroid with that as well, and that's a blood drop base. I'm going to link that up. Vitamin D as well. Vitamin D is so crucial for weight loss, wellness, and sleep. So I'm going to link up the thyroid adrenal hormone as well as a sleep and stress test today, both at-home labs, super simple to do. It is episode 966. So just go to stephencabral.com/966. I'll link up the research on celery juice. I will link up the sleep and stress test. I'll link up the thyroid adrenal hormone test. I will link up the liquid melatonin. I'll link up the adrenal soothe if I didn't mention that. I'll try to link up everything right there every day at the show notes. I try to make it simple for you. I'll leave all the links right there. Go to stephencabral.com/966. I look forward to bringing more information to you about melatonin, celery juice, and obviously all the natural things that we can do to heal our body. I appreciate you so much for tuning in today. Please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. And before you go, I want to let you know one quick thing, that this is literally just a pop-up. My team sent this over to me, and we wanted to do something fun for you. This is literally just for 3 days until October strikes. And that is that with all orders over $150, I am told that we are offering you a free bottle. We're giving away a free bottle of our daily nutritional support. That is a $39.95 value, and you'll also get free shipping on all of that. Free shipping all over the U.S. So pretty amazing. We're giving you away our most popular product, which is our daily nutritional support. It provides a vegan protein, a pea and rice, and it has all of the vitamins that you'll need for the day. It has all of your minerals. It has electrolytes. It has antioxidants. It has things that help with liver detoxification. Truly amazing. It's nut-free, egg-free, dairy-free. It's completely vegan-based. It is absolutely amazing. It's what I use every single day. It's what we use with literally everyone in our practice. It is the foundation. It is the safety net to make sure you're getting everything that your body needs to heal. So just head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com for all that information, and while supplies last. I always have to say that. While supplies last, it is valid. You will see it just if you go to equilibriumnutrition.com. There should be a little banner at the top of the website. Click there for details. Take care, everyone, and have an amazing weekend. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.